The Majority Leader.
I shall ask the Senate to call the call be terminated.
Without objection.
I now ask the Senate proceed to a pre-morning business. Senators allowed to speak for up to 10 minutes each.
Without objection.
I ask the Chair to lay before the Senate a message from the House with respect to H.R. 588.
The clerk reads before the Senate the following message.
Resolved that the House agrees to the amendment of the Senate to the bill H.R. 588 entitled An Act to Provide for Donor Contribution Acknowledgements to be displayed at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Visitor Center and for other purposes with the following House amendment to Senate amendment.
I ask unanimous consent the Senate concur in the House amendment to the Senate amendment and the motion reconsider be laid on the table with no intervening action or debate.
Without objection.
I ask consent the Senate proceed to calendar number 85.
The clerk will report.
Calendar number 85, H.R. 251, an act to direct the Secretary of the Interior to convey certain federal features of the electric distribution system to the South Utah Valley Electric Service District and for other purposes.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
I now ask consent the bill be read a third time passed. Motion reconsider be considered made and laid on the table with no intervening action or debate.
Without objection.
I ask consent the Senate proceed to H.R. 254.
Clerk will report.
H.R. 254, an act to authorize the Secretary of the Interior to facilitate the development of hydroelectric power on the Diamond Fork system of the Central Utah Project.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent the bill be read three times and passed. Motion reconsider be considered made and laid on the table, and there be no intervening action or debate.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent when the Senate completes the business day to adjourn until tomorrow, Thursday, July 11th at 10 a.m. Following the prayer and the pledge, the morning are deemed expired. Journal proceedings be approved to date, and the time for the two leaders be reserved for use later in the day. And that I be recognized in the following remarks to the two leaders.
Without objection.
So that's clear. I want the consent to indicate that after we've done the morning hour, after it's expired, journal proceedings have been approved, and two leaders' time's been used or reserved for the use later in the day, that I be recognized.
Without objection.
The following remarks, well, let's do this again. After I'm recognized and we do our statements, President Senator McConnell and I, then the time until 12:30 be equally divided and controlled between the two leaders or the designates, with senators permitted to speak for up to 10 minutes each, with the Republicans controlling the first half and majority controlling the second half. Further, that the Senate recess from 12:30 to 2:15 to allow for caucus meetings. I would ask the Chair if it's clear now what I muddled through.
It is clear, without objection.
Okay. At 2:15, then I'll be recognized. I ask consent that be the case.
Without objection.
Mr. President, if there are no further business come before the Senate, I ask that it adjourn under the previous order.
The Senate is adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.
The Senate today blocked a Democratic proposal aimed at addressing the doubling of student loan interest rates that took effect last week. That bill, sponsored by Democratic Senator Jack Reed of Rhode Island, would roll back the student loan interest rate to 3.4% for 1 year to give lawmakers more time to craft a more permanent fix. This morning, Republican Senator Richard Burr and Democratic Senator Joe Manchin spoke about a proposal they've co-sponsored that would tie the student loan interest rates to the 10-year Treasury note. Following their remarks, we heard from co-sponsors of the Democratic plan. This is just over an hour.
Mr. President, I come to the floor today to talk